morning, Archana Devi. So, Yasmin,
Good morning, Madam.
has Yasmin the text?
Yes, please. Shall I start reading?
Yes, please, you can do that.
We are on page 521, Samadhi, and the paragraph is in the dream state itself.
That's right. Go ahead, read.
In the dream state itself, there are an infinite series of depths. From the lighter, recall is easy, and the world of the physical senses is at the doors, though for the moment shut out. In the deeper, it becomes remote and less able to break in upon the inner absorption. The mind has entered into secure depths of trance. There is a complete difference between samadhi and normal sleep, between the dream state of yoga and the physical state of dream. The latter belongs to the physical mind. In the former, the mind proper and subtle is at work, liberated from the immixture of the physical mentality. The dreams of the physical mind are an incoherent jumble made up partly of responses to vague touches from the physical world around which the lower mind faculties disconnected from the will and reason. The buddhi weave a web of wandering fantasy, partly of disordered associations from the brain memory, partly of reflections from the soul traveling on the mental plane, reflections which are ordinarily received without intelligence or coordination, wildly distorted in the reception and mixed up confusedly with the other dream elements, with brain memories and fantastic responses to any sensory touch from the physical world. In the yogic dream state, on the other hand, the mind is in clear possession of itself, though not of the physical world, works coherently and is able to use either its ordinary will and intelligence with a concentrated power, or else the higher will and intelligence of the more exalted planes of mind. It withdraws from the experience of the outer world. It puts its seal upon the physical senses and their doors of communication with material things. But everything that is proper to itself, thought, reasoning, reflection, vision, it can continue to execute with an increased purity and power of sovereign concentration, free from the distractions and unsteadiness of the waking mind. It can use to its will and produce upon itself or upon its environment mental, moral, and even physical effects, which may continue and have their consequences on the waking state subsequent to the cessation of the trance.
Okay, so he is describing the trance, but not in the superconscious planes, but in the intraconscious planes. And he is telling you that there is a gradation. It can be very light entry into the sleep condition, or it can be a very deep entry into the sleep condition. Okay, and if it is very light, the sounds and the smells of the physical world will be able to make you come out very easily into waking consciousness. But in the dream state, okay, the dream state of the yogic samadhi, which goes deep inside you, the physical world will not be able to recall you so easily. Okay. If you remember, he said that when you go into really deep samadhi, anything, even the burning of the body, he says in one place. Okay, in another place he says, even if the body is tortured and burned, the consciousness will not come back to a waking state if the samadhi is so deep. So We'll read each sentence, but this is basically what he's saying. There are two types of dream state. One is the shallow one and one is the deep one. The deep one is the samadhi. The shallow one is the normal waking dream state of the human mind. Okay? And there is a gradation between the two. That gradation is always important. Okay, so now in the dream state itself, okay, there are an infinite series of depths. Now, he is talking about the dream state. But the dream state, he means here the intraconscious, because he is talking of the samadhi. Don't think that he is talking only of the normal dream. Okay, dream state. When you enter into, because even when you enter into your when you sleep and you have dreams, you are in the intraconscious. Okay, so it has got two meanings: your dream state and also the intraconscious. Of course, in your dream state, your normal dreams, you can go also into the subconscious and you can also travel in the mind regions. That's possible. But here he is describing in the intraconscious a shallow dream state and a deep dream state. In the dream state itself, there are an infinite series of depths. There you are. There's a gradation. From the lighter recall is easy. From the lighter condition, that means you've just gone to sleep and you're entering, but not very deep inside. Then recall is easy. Recall to the physical world. Okay, waking up. In other words, waking up is easy. And the world of the physical senses is at the doors. That means you're not gone deep inside. You're very near the door. The door of entry into the between the waking state and the dream state. Though for the moment shut out. So, although the physical world is shut out, your dream state is a lighter one. The lighter one, very near the door. You can easily come back. So that's what he said. But for the moment, it is shut. The way the physical world is not in your awareness. In the deeper, it becomes more remote and less able to break in upon the inner absorption. The mind is entered into secure depths of trance. So, secure depths means that trance cannot be disturbed very easily. It is very secure. It's not fickle, it's not shallow, it cannot be broken easily. So, when you go deep into your intraconscious, okay? Now, he is describing the difference between sleep and samadhi. There is a complete difference between samadhi and normal sleep. Okay? Between the dream state of yoga, which is a samadhi, and the physical state of dream, which is our normal dreaming condition. The physical state of dream is a very shallow one, and the dream state of yoga is a very deep one, deep into your own being. The latter belongs to the physical mind. Okay? You remember, is the physical mind is the manas. It is that part of the mind which interprets the senses and also deals with the physical objects in the world. In the former, which is the dream state of yoga or samadhi, in the former, the mind proper and subtle is at work, liberated from the immixture of the physical mentality. So, the outer mind has no effect on you. You are deep inside and you are in the inner mind. The mind proper and subtle. He is talking of the mind proper and subtle is the inner mind, which is far, far more powerful than your surface mind. Okay? The outer nature of mind is a very shallow thing. It's not very, it doesn't understand so many things. Its comprehension is limited. But the inner mind, which Swamsindra is here calling the mind proper and subtle, is at work and it is working. But it is liberated from the immixture of the physical mentality. The impurities of the mind, outer mind, does not affect the inner mind. In the yogic trance, the dreams of the physical mind are an incoherent jumble made up partly of responses to vague touches from the physical world around. So the physical world around which, not around which the lower mind faculties, disconnected from the will and reason, the buddhi, weave a web of wandering fantasy. Okay? All sorts of mixed up. Normally, 90% of dreaming is of this nature. Okay? And particularly for those who are not doing yoga, it is certainly like that. If you start yoga, it becomes a little different. With the lower mind faculties. The lower mind faculties are observation, okay, thinking with the manas, things like that. Disconnected from the will and reason. Disconnected from the will and reason, that means the lower mind faculties is talking of the vital mind and the physical mind. Disconnected from the will and reason, the buddhi is not interfering here. Weave a web of wandering fantasy, all sorts of fantastic things combined. Okay, you may feel that your cat is talking to you, feel that your pet dog is flying, all sorts of nonsensical things can happen. Partly of disordered associations. Associations are there. That means whatever your friends or your incidents have taken place in your waking life, but they become disordered. There is no logic to it. From the brain memory. The brain memory, so they're saying brain memory, physical memory. Okay? He's not saying only memory, he's saying brain memory, the physical part of the brain that retains impressions from the physical world. Partly of reflections from the soul traveling on the mental plane. So, even when you are going inside, okay, you may be in the mind plane. Okay? You may be in the mind plane. And sometimes touches of what you are experiencing there also come through. Okay? Reflections which are ordinarily received without intelligence or coordination, wildly distorted in the reception and mixed up confusedly with other dream elements. This is a normal dream. He is describing the normal dream of man. Wildly distorted in the reception and mixed up confusedly with the other dream elements, with brain memory and fantastic responses to any sensory touch from the physical world. So, now this is very interesting what he's saying. Fantastic responses to any sensory touch from the physical world. I'll give you a very interesting example. Okay, what I mean by fantastic responses to any sensory touch from the physical world. I'm sleeping and it's about time for me to wake up, but I'm still dreaming. And suddenly the alarm rings, let us say. Now that alarm ringing in the physical world becomes part of your dream. That's what he's saying. The connection comes in. Fantastic response to any sensory touch from the physical world. I think all of you have had some experiences like that. Now, when maybe your parents are calling you to wake up, it's time to wake up, and becomes part of your dream. So that's what he said. In the yogic dream state, on the other hand, the mind is in a clear possession of itself. It's completely different when you go deep into your yogic dream state. Okay? On the other hand, the mind is in clear possession of itself. In other words, it is a master of its own thinking processes, though not of the physical world. Works coherently and is able to use either its ordinary will and intelligence with a concentrated power, or else the higher will and intelligence of the more exalted planes of mind. Which are the more exalted planes of mind? The level 2 planes, higher mind, element mind, etc. Okay, they are the more exalted planes. I'm telling you this because you have to understand the language. Okay? More exalted is not something. He is very specific. He is talking of the spiritual planes of consciousness, level 2, more exalted planes. Then, so the very big difference between normal samadhi, which is apparently looks to be sleep, but is not sleep. It is fully conscious. And the experiences that you are having there are very coherent and meaningful. Whereas the normal dream condition is a confused and you are not in control at all. All sorts of things happen. You are experiencing the physical world, some touches from the physical, your memories, all these things come and make a jumble. That's the difference between the two. Okay. You're fully, and when you're in a normal dream condition, sometimes you don't even remember the dream. But when you are in a yogic dream state, even when you wake up, you become conscious of the waking world, you remember your experiences in the samadhi state. That's the difference. Okay? Though not in the physical world, it withdraws from experience of the outer world. It puts its seals upon the physical senses and their doors of communication with material things. So when he's talking of the deeper samadhi, he's talking of the yogic trance. It, the yogic trance, withdraws from experience of the outer world. It has not awareness of the physical world. It puts its seals upon the physical senses. The physical senses are not affecting you anymore. And they are doors of communication with material things. The doors of communication with material things is normally the senses. No? They are the doors of communication. But everything that is proper to itself, thought, reasoning, reflection, vision, he is talking about the inner mind condition. Huh? These things are all the qualities, the gunas of the inner mind. Thought, reasoning, reflection, vision. It can continue to execute with an increased purity and power of sovereign concentration, free from the distractions and unsteadiness of the waking mind. So it's a very, very different condition. The samadhi is very, very clear, very, very coherent, and very, you can remember everything that you have had there in the inner worlds. Distractions and all that cannot disturb. It can use too its will and produce upon itself or upon its environment mental, moral, and even physical effects, which may continue and have their after consequences in the waking state subsequent to the cessation of the trance. So, I'll give you a very simple example. You have gone deep into your interconscious and you have, say, a contact with the mother. Okay. Now, when you wake up, that atmosphere of what you experienced with the mother will continue to exist in the physical world for some time. If it's very deep, maybe the whole day. Otherwise, for 2-3 hours at least, you will feel the presence of the divine. So that's what he's saying. After consequences, that's what it means. When you wake up, and in the physical world also, the experiences that you had in the inner being will continue to have its effect. That's what it means. Which may continue and have their after consequences on the waking state, subsequent to the cessation of the trance. Your trance has ended, but whatever you have experienced there, it will continue into the physical world. Suppose mother has given you a peace. That peace will last in the physical world after sleep also for quite some time. That's what it is. All these are possible in the samadhi trance, yoga dream state. That's what it is. Okay? So there is a huge difference between samadhi, which is calling yoga dream state because of the interconscious, and the normal dream state, even when you enter into the interconscious, but it's very shallow. Okay, that's a difference. So we can read the next one. Who will read the next one? To arrive at full possession. How is your connection today, Kiran?
It is better now.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Yesterday you did not read, so today you can read. To arrive at full possession.
To arrive at full possession of the powers of the dream state, it is necessary first to exclude the attack of the sights, sounds, etc. of the outer world upon the physical organs. It is quite possible, indeed, to be aware in the dream trance of the outer physical world to the subtle senses which belong to the subtle body. One may be aware of them just so far as one chooses and on a much wider scale than in the waking condition. For the subtle senses have a far more powerful range than the gross physical organs, a range which may be made practically unlimited. But this awareness of the physical world through the subtle senses is something quite different from our normal awareness of it through the physical organs. The latter is incompatible with the settled state of trance, for the pressure of the physical senses breaks the samadhi and calls back the mind to live in their normal field where alone they have power. But the subtle senses have power both upon their own planes and upon the physical world, though this is to them more remote than their own world of being. In yoga, various devices are used to seal up the doors of the physical senses. Some of them physical devices, but the one all sufficient means is a force of concentration by which the mind is drawn inward to depths where the call of physical things can no longer easily attain to it. A second necessity is to get rid of the intervention of physical sleep. The ordinary habit of the mind when it goes in away from contact with physical things is to fall into the torpor of sleep or its dreams. And therefore, when called in for the purposes of samadhi, it gives or tends to give at the first chance by sheer force of habit, not the response demanded, but its usual response of physical slumber. This habit of the mind has to be got rid of. The mind has to learn to be awake in the dream state, in possession of itself, not with the outgoing, but with an ingathered wakefulness in which, though immersed in itself, it exercises all its powers.
Okay, so he's describing further. Okay? Not very difficult to understand what he's saying. In fact, it's very simple. To arrive at full possession, I'm reading each sentence. To arrive at full possession of the powers of dream state, in other words, the samadhi, it is necessary first to exclude the attack of the sights, sounds, etc. of the outer world upon the physical organs. This is the Shemji used the word attack because a, a clap of thunder can really be an attack on you suddenly wake up from your sleep. The other night we had a thunderstorm. You remember, and the lightning and the thunder. Fantastic. So this is there. And also sights and sounds, he's saying. Okay. These are, you have to get rid of these things. The outer sights and sounds and smells must not impinge upon your yogic trance or the outer world upon the physical organs. So you have to shut them up. So how do you do that? There are many, many ways. It is quite possible indeed to be aware in the dream state, trance of the outer physical world through the subtle senses. So what Siddha is mentioning here is that when you have become very pakka in yoga, you can be with open eyes, you can see things which normally you would not see, subtle senses. If I am seeing any one of you and I am seeing your thoughts, okay, then I am in the intraconscious and I am using subtle senses. I am not using my physical eyes. Okay, so that's what he's pointing out. It's quite possible indeed to be aware in the dream state of the outer physical world through the subtle senses which belong to the subtle body. One may be aware of them just so far as one chooses and on a much wider scale than in the waking condition. So, when you are in the waking condition, the gross senses are working and their scale is very limited. You don't see, you see and hear and smell only things which is immediately around yourself. But you don't know what's happening 1 kilometer away. Okay? So that's what they're saying. But it's possible to be aware of things with a subtle senses when you are in the intraconscious, and the power of the inner mind and inner vital is 10 times more than the outer mind and outer vital. So, in much more, on a much wider scale, you will be waking. Okay? And also you can choose. You can choose to be in that condition, or you need not choose to. You can also choose not to be in that condition. Okay? For the subtle senses have a far more powerful range than the gross physical organs. In fact, the subtle senses can go even to another country, to another 10,000 miles away also it can go, okay, and see what's happening. That's the reason why the American army uses these psychics to find out where is Russia, for instance, building an aerodrome for the planes. Where are they building an airfield? Okay, and these certain people in America, sitting in America, they know what's happening in Russia. If you are in the capable of going into the intraconscious, that's what they're saying. Okay? Much wider, far more powerful range than the gross physical organs. A range which may be made practically unlimited. I'm only speaking of 10,000 miles, but it can be unlimited. But this awareness of the physical world through the subtle senses is something quite different from our normal awareness of it through the physical organs. My physical eyes will see only what is physically the physical forms, but my subtle eyes will see even subtle things, your thoughts, your emotions, all that is possible, provided you are in the intraconscious. The latter is incompatible with the settled state of trance. The latter is the gross. Physical organs are the latter. So they are incompatible with the settled state of trance. When you are in the settled state of trance, the physical organs have absolutely no purpose and no use. They are not functioning at all. For the pressure of the physical senses breaks the samadhi and calls back the mind to live in the normal field where alone they have power. I'll give you the best example possible for this. When Mother was experiencing the supramental boat, it was around 2 o'clock in the afternoon, she says. And she was having all these experiences, and it was fascinating for her, and she was experiencing all this for a long time, and she didn't want to come out. She wanted to continue the experience. But what happened was that the physical clock in her room at 3 o'clock started ringing. And so she was forced to come out. She didn't want to, but she was forced to come out. So sometimes this can happen. The latter is incompatible with the settled state of trance. But the pressure from the physical senses breaks the samadhi and calls back the mind to live in the normal field where alone they have power. You may question this, what I'm giving as an example, because then does that mean that Mother's experience of it was not deep? Certainly not. Because for Mother, 1 hour she spent there without any disturbance. And it's a normal condition that after the experience you come back to your normal condition. The consciousness of even Mother, if she remains there in that place for a long time, then it may be possible not to come back into the body. But if you have a body-mind life, you are called back into it. Okay, so that is what happens. So, Mother mentions this specifically in her experience of 3 o'clock. She says the clock rang and she was forced to come out. She didn't want to, but she came out. But she remembered fully the whole experience. And she says something very interesting. She says that when she had the experience of the Supplementary Board, 1953, no, sorry, 1963, something like that. Okay, I don't remember exactly, but I think so. Or 56, was it a little later? I don't remember the date. But it was after the Supplementary manifestation. And she says that she went into the Supplementary world with her physical senses. There's something very striking. She didn't go there with her subtle senses. She went there with her physical senses. She says that very clearly. Okay? So all sorts of things are possible. Swamdeva is covering only some of the things. But the pressure of the physical senses breaks the samadhi. But in her case, it did not. Because she had gone there with her physical senses and called back the mind to live in the normal field where alone they have power. Okay? The physical senses have power only in the physical world. They have no power at all in the subtle planes. But the subtle senses have power both upon their own planes and upon the physical world. Because if you don't have power with the subtle senses in the physical world, how will you be able to see others' thoughts? Okay? Whereas Mother is able to do that. Okay? That's the thing. In yoga, various devices are used to seal up the doors of the physical sense. So how do you seal up? You close your eyes. Sometimes you even use, you seal your ears. You have got these all sorts of devices. You can even use cotton to stuff into your ears so that you don't see don't hear the sounds. Some of them physical devices, but the one all-sufficient means is the force of concentration. You can use your concentration to such an extent that you go deep into yourself, by which the mind is drawn inward to depths, deep inside, where the call of physical things can no longer easily attend to it. In Mother's case, she went there with her physical senses, and the physical senses then can call you back much more easily than the subtle senses. A second necessity is to get rid of the intervention of physical sleep. This is a very common habit, and the letters to Sri Aurobindo, many people are saying, when I try to meditate, I go into a sleep, it becomes sleep. So Sri Aurobindo says, don't worry, in the beginning it is like that. Okay? Now Sri Aurobindo is explaining that. Okay. The ordinary habit of the mind, when it goes in away from contact with physical things, is to fall into the torpor or sleep or its dreams. And therefore, when called in for the purposes of samadhi, it gives or tends to give at the first chance by sheer force of habit, not the response demanded, but its usual response of physical slumber. So when you go in, you are used to only the normal sleep, so that's what happens. This habit of the mind has to be got rid of. So you have to go deep into yourself, but be conscious of what you're doing, where you're going. The mind has to learn to be awake in the dream state, in possession of itself, not with the outgoing, but with the ingathered wakefulness in which, though immersed in itself, all its powers. So, 2 paras we have read, and so they are explaining the difference between the yogic trance of samadhi and the normal sleep. And this is all in the dream state. He is talking of the intraconscious. Maybe he will talk also of the superconscious. We'll see that next time. So today we'll stop here. So next Friday, we'll take up the experiences of the dream state are infinitely various. Different types of experiences he will describe. Okay. Suki, make a note. Okay. The
Yes, I
experience
will
of
make
the
a note.
dreams. Page
Yes.
523. Okay.
Thank you,
Everybody.
Rangada. Excuse me. In order to read Mother's supramental boat experience
Yeah.
on the internet, where do you go? What do you type?
Okay. Yeah. I have spoken about this earlier also. It's very interesting. I think if you type the mother's experience of the supramental boat, just try that.
Okay.
Yasmin, 1 minute, Rangada. Yasmin, there is a site in Incarnate Word.
Ah,
The Incarnate Word. You type that, then there comes 3 dashes. From there, you go to search, and anything about Mother's German literature by them or connected with them, you will find there.
That's
The Incarnate Word. I'll send it to you by WhatsApp, Yasmin.
Okay. Thanks.
That site is wonderful. You go everything. Yes.
This whole experience had come in Mother India once, and I'd read it.
No, it is there in I think Agenda. It is there in Antratya also. I read it 2 days back. I don't remember. Hey, you type the Incarnate Word exactly, you will find it. I'll just message it to you. Yes.
Okay. Thank
Archana,
you.
Yes.
put on the
Who
Skype,
is it?
no? You all will come to know that. The link.
Okay, I'll put it in the Skype and I'll send to you, Yasmin, personally also. No problem. Okay. But a little later. A little later. Okay.
The Incarnate Word is a fantastic program.
Yes, Rangada, you can get anything. You just type 2-3 words and you can get all that you want.
It was made
Wonderful.
by Narendra Gehlot. Yeah. Very, very
Yeah, some people, I don't know.
good. Okay. Au revoir, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rangada.
Thank you, Rangada.